So radishes, I love them, and they are really easy to grow. There are a few problems, and I'm going to tell you how to sort all those out, but essentially they're easy to grow and they're great for kids, and that is because they germinate readily and quickly. You can actually get it to germinate the next day, but usually within 2 or 3 days. And so for a kid, when he plants that seed, they can see the result of that quickly rather than waiting a week, and they kind of lose the connection to them planting it. I like 2 different varieties. One variety I like is what I call cherry radishes, which are just red, round radish, and there's a whole bunch of different varieties of those. And then I also like the French breakfast radish, which there's a few different types of these. And these are just long with the white tip. And these look really nice when sliced. And when they are, one way you can prepare them, which is really nice, you can quarter them, put them in some vinegar, pickle them for a little while, and then the flesh gets all pink, and it's really beautiful with a little bit of sugar, and the kids love them. They're really fantastic. They stay really crispy when pickled, beautiful in a salad, sliced, just wonderful stuff. And so I like these 2 varieties, but there's so many different types. There's big, long, the hotter types. Daikon radish is a whole mess of different types, but they're usually big and long, pointy, and those are going to be much spicier. These are much more mild, and their spice is really going to be dependent on the weather. And I find that the cooler out it is, the sweeter they are, the hotter it is, a little bit more spicy. To start them, these should be started from seed. That's the easiest way to do it. They germinate readily, they don't need to be in pots. You want to plant a lot of them, because they're small, so you want to plant a lot of them. And they don't take very long, so you want to do them in successions. So, you can do it every couple of weeks. You just keep planting them, and then you can harvest this one, and I can harvest this today, and then I can reseed it. And then a couple weeks harvest this and reseed it. And to have radishes for the season, you're going to have to do that, because they can take just 3 weeks till you harvest them, to the time you seed them and harvest them, right? And no more than 4. The longer they stay in the field, they may start to crack, they'll be attracted to pests, the leaves will start to die. So you want, as soon as they get to size, that's when you want to harvest them. The things that can happen to them. Environmentally, they can get split, and they can also get hollow. Splitting is going to happen from really uneven watering. So if you have a soil that's not very high in organic matter, that's not holding on to water, so that the soil is drying out and then it rains, and drying out and then it rains, that will cause them to split. They can also split from them being just too long in the ground. So, making sure they're harvested on a schedule, that you get to them. And the other thing is just adding organic matter to your soil so that when things do dry out, it holds on to moisture. This way you don't have to keep watering them. As long as you have the organic matter in the soil, so that the soil itself, like a sponge, holds on to water through those dry periods. But if it's, long time in between rain, then you may need to, use a sprinkler and water them. Now, for them getting hollow, that can happen from them really growing too fast and too much nitrogen, which is kind of rare, but also them just being too long in the ground. So if you leave them for a very long time, they'll get big and hollow. So that's about getting to them earlier, making sure you harvest them, and You know, it's nothing wrong with you did. It's just you didn't get them soon enough. So it's not a big problem. Now, in terms of pests, the root maggot is the one that's going to be your biggest problem, I believe, with radishes. It's a fly that will land next to your radishes and lay eggs, and those legs turn into larvae, the little white beige worms, very small, and they will burrow into the radish, eating it and getting moisture. One way to prevent that is by keeping the soil moist again, because as the soil dries out, then those maggots want to go straight for the radish to get moisture. So the more moisture in the soil, the less problem they're going to be. The other thing is organic matter. And so this, not only will it solve the problem of moisture, but it actually solves the problem of having root maggots. You have a lot less root maggots in soil that's very high in organic matter, and the soil that's very, very well balanced. So there's no spray necessary, nothing like that. It's just about improving your soil over time, and you'll have less and less and less. You know, when I started my farm, we had root maggots in every radish. Today, it's very, very rare for us to even have it. And, you know, we didn't spray anything, we didn't add anything to the soil that was to kill them. It's just about the soil getting better and better over time. Right? And lastly, I would say weeds. You know, the more weeds you have, you know, the more likely you're going to have root maggots. And that leads to another thing, which is another pest which can eat your radishes is voles. They don't prefer radishes, you know, they really prefer beets and carrots, but they will eat radishes. And the less weeds you have, the less vole damage you're going to have. Because as you can see, voles really they want something above their head, right? Because they're eaten by predators. That's their biggest danger. So they don't want to run across these blank areas around your garden. They would rather stay in the grass. And so when you have weeds, then it's a perfect place for the voles to come into your garden and start eating stuff. So growing big radishes, if your radishes aren't getting to size and they're staying very tiny, then that could be caused by a couple of things. Your seeding density is way too tight, and you're going to know that by if they're just so together, you know, they're just very close together, then that could be causing them to be small. And that's why I like 4 rows on a bed. A nice big radish it's just easier to deal with in the kitchen. It's also, for me as a farmer, it's very nice to have bigger radishes and they're prettier. The other thing can just be not enough fertilizer, right? The more fertilizer you have in the soil, the bigger the radishes. It's just nitrogen does create bigger radishes.